Paul, I have to ask you something that's been bothering me. Everyone keeps saying our metabolism is doomed after 60, but I know people who swear by eating small meals with cayenne pepper and ginger. They have more energy than people half their age. Are we really just supposed to accept that we're stuck with a slow metabolism?
Jane, that's exactly the kind of thinking that gets seniors into trouble. The research is pretty clear here. After age 30, we lose about 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade, and it accelerates after 50. The data from the calorie studies shows that while certain foods might temporarily increase energy expenditure by maybe 40 to 50 calories, we're talking about changes that are statistically almost meaningless when you're dealing with a metabolism that's naturally slowing by hundreds of calories.
And that's exactly why people are so frustrated, Paul. Every health magazine tells them to eat this superfood or that spice. Every influencer has a different metabolism hack. And meanwhile, they're feeling more tired than ever. Honestly, I think people are desperate for something, anything, that makes them feel like they have some control.
You're absolutely right about the confusion, Jane. The problem is that legitimate scientific research gets mixed up with marketing claims. For instance, yes, protein does increase what we call the thermic effect of food. Your body burns more calories digesting protein than carbs or fats. But some studies show this effect might be reduced in older adults anyway, and we're still talking about relatively small numbers in the context of overall daily energy expenditure.
If you believe these kinds of open conversations are important, please support us by hitting that like button and subscribing.
Exactly. Your engagement allows us to keep digging for the facts. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss our next topic. Now, let's get to the heart of today's debate.
Let me lay out what the scientific consensus actually tells us about metabolism and aging. Large-scale studies consistently show that resting metabolic rate declines about 1 to 2% per decade after age 20, with steeper declines after menopause in women. The recent calorie trial, the most comprehensive human study on caloric restriction, found that metabolism becomes less responsive to dietary changes as we age.
But Paul, what about all those studies on spices like cayenne pepper increasing thermogenesis? People aren't imagining the energy boost they feel.
That's a great example of where the research gets misconstrued. Yes, capsaicin from chili peppers can temporarily increase energy expenditure. One study showed about 43 extra calories burned. But here's the context. That's less than half an apple's worth of calories. Recent reviews analyzing dozens of these metabolism-boosting food studies conclude that while statistically significant, the real-world impact is minimal.
What about the frequent small meals approach? A lot of nutritionists recommend that for seniors.
The meal frequency research is actually quite interesting. While eating does trigger what we call the thermic effect of food, eating 6 small meals versus 3 larger ones with the same total calories doesn't significantly change 24-hour energy expenditure. What's more concerning is that many older adults already struggle with adequate protein intake, and spreading it too thin across many small meals might actually impair muscle protein synthesis.
So you're saying all these metabolism hacks are basically worthless?
Not worthless, but vastly oversold. The most impactful interventions for metabolic health in seniors are resistance training and maintaining adequate protein intake. We're talking about 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight, which is higher than younger adults need. These approaches can help preserve muscle mass, which is the biggest driver of metabolic rate that we can actually influence.
Here's what bothers me about all that data, Paul. I know a 68-year-old woman who started drinking green tea with ginger every morning, added turmeric to her meals, and switched to eating every 3-4 hours. 6 months later, she's sleeping better, has more afternoon energy, and actually lost 15 pounds without dieting. How do you explain that if these foods don't matter?
Those are exactly the kinds of changes that make this topic so complicated. Individual responses can vary dramatically from population averages.
Exactly. And here's something else. Maybe the mechanism isn't just about burning more calories. What if these spices and eating patterns help with inflammation, blood sugar stability, or digestion? My friend didn't just change her food timing. She started feeling more in control of her health. That psychological boost alone could increase her activity levels throughout the day.
That's actually a really important point that deserves more research attention. The placebo effect in nutrition studies can be quite powerful.
But what if it's not just placebo? What if our bodies are more individual than these big studies suggest? I've talked to seniors who swear that certain foods make them feel dramatically different. One person told me that adding cinnamon to their oatmeal helps them avoid the mid-morning energy crash they used to get.
And that could be real. Cinnamon might help with blood sugar regulation, which could affect energy levels. But we have to be careful not to generalize from individual experiences to universal recommendations.
Fair enough. But here's my biggest concern with the "your metabolism is predetermined" message. It makes people give up. If someone believes they can influence how they feel through their food choices, isn't that worth something, even if the metabolic effect is small? Results matter, but so does hope and feeling empowered about your health decisions. So, Paul, after all this, there's no single right answer, is there?
There isn't, and that's the point. Our job isn't to give you an answer. It's to give you the evidence from both sides.
So you can have a smarter conversation with your doctor and, most importantly, with yourself. The real discussion continues in the comments.
That's right. Let us know what you think and tell us what we should debate next. Subscribe so you don't miss it.